Morning everyone, we are from Group 5 and our topic for the scientific paper analysis is how to choose the right forecasting technique. I'm Nazia Fahad and my group members are Nilanjana Islam, Thomas John and Deborah. Forecasting is very important for managers. Sound predictions of demands and trends are a necessity if managers are to cope with seasonality, sudden changes in demand levels, price-cutting maneuvers of the competition, strikes, and large swings of the economy. Many forecasting techniques have been developed in recent years. Each has its special use, and care must be taken to select the correct technique for a particular application. Successful forecasting begins with a collaboration between the manager and the forecaster, in which they work out answers to the following question. The first question is, what is the purpose of the forecast, or how is it to be used? This determines the accuracy and power required of the techniques and hence governs selection. Deciding whether to enter a business may require only a rather gross estimate of the size of the market, whereas a forecast made for budgeting purposes should be quite accurate. The appropriate techniques differ accordingly. For example, in production and inventory control, increased accuracy is likely to lead to lower safety stocks. Here the manager and forecaster must weigh the cost of a more sophisticated and more expensive technique against potential savings in inventory costs. The second question will be, what are the dynamics and components of the system for which the forecast will be made? This clarifies the relationships of interacting variables. Generally, the manager and the forecaster must review a flow chart that shows the relative positions of different elements of the distribution system, sales system, production system, or whatever is being studied. The third and the final question is, how important is the past in estimating the future? Significant changes in the system, new products, new competitive strategies, and so forth diminish the similarity of past and future. Over the short term, recent changes are unlikely to cause overall patterns to alter, but over the long term, their effects are likely to increase. The executive and the forecaster must discuss these fully. Once the manager and the forecaster have formulated their problem, the forecaster will be able to choose a method. There are three basic types: qualitative techniques, time series analysis and projection, and causal models. Now let's look at the three types of forecasts in detail. Firstly, let's look at qualitative techniques. Primarily, these are used when data are scarce. For example, when a product is first introduced into a market. They use human judgment and rating schemes to turn qualitative information into quantitative estimates. The objective here is to bring together in a logical, unbiased, and systematic way all information and judgments which relate to the factors being estimated. Such techniques are frequently used in new technology areas where development of a product idea may require several inventions, so that R&D demands are difficult to estimate and where market acceptance and penetration rates are highly uncertain. There are four main types of qualitative techniques, which are Delphi method, market research, panel consensus, visionary forecast, and historical analogy. Moving on to time series analysis, these are statistical techniques used when several years' data for a product or product line are available and when relationships and trends are both clear and relatively stable. A time series is a set of chronologically ordered points of raw data. For example, a division's sales of a given product by month for several years. Time series analysis helps to identify and explain any regularity or systematic variation in the series of data which is due to seasonality. Cyclical patterns that repeat any 2 or 3 years or more, trends in the data, growth rates of these trends, and the growth rates of these trends. Our final type is causal methods. When historical data are available and enough analysis has been performed to spell out explicitly the relationships between the factor to be forecast and other factors like business and economic forces and socio-economic factors, the forecaster often constructs a causal model. A causal model is the most sophisticated kind of forecasting tool. It expresses mathematically the relevant causal relationships and may include pipeline considerations like inventories and market survey information. It may also directly incorporate the results of a time series analysis. In this slide, we will look at methods, products, and life cycle. At each stage of the life of a product, from conception to steady-state sales, the decisions that management must make are quite different, and they require different kinds of information as a base. The forecasting techniques that provide these sets of information differ analogously. The exhibit on the slide summarizes the life stages of a product, the typical decisions made at each, and the main forecasting techniques are suitable at each. The first stage is product development. In the early stages of product development, the manager wants answers to questions such as these. What are the alternative growth opportunities to pursuing product X? Should we enter this business? And if so, in what segments? How should we allocate R&D efforts and funds? The second stage is testing and introduction. Before a product can enter its rapid penetration stage, the market potential must be tested out and the product must be introduced. And then more market testing may be advisable. At this stage, management needs answers to these questions. What shall our marketing plan be? Which markets should we enter and with what production quantities? The third stage is rapid growth. When a product enters this stage, the most important decisions relate to facilities expansion. These decisions generally involve the largest expenditures in the cycle, and commensurate forecasting and tracking efforts are justified. The fourth and final stage is steady state. The decisions the managers make at this stage are quite different from those made earlier. Most of the facilities planning has been squared away, and trends and growth rates have become reasonably stable. It is possible that swings in demand and profit will occur because of changed economic conditions, new and competitive products, pipeline dynamics, and so on. And the manager will have to maintain the tracking activities and even introduce new ones. However, by and large, the manager will concentrate forecasting attention on these areas. First one, long and short-term production planning, setting standards to check the effectiveness of marketing strategies, projections designed to aid profit planning. Nilanjana will continue the next part of the presentation.
Now I will talk about the main areas to focus in planning production and establishing marketing strategy. The first stage of market planning involves sales projections and evaluations of past promotional activities to assess their effectiveness. The process of analyzing a product enables a company to identify which areas of the plan should carry a heavier focus or which areas should be adjusted. The analysis not only involves evaluating the company's competitive position in its respective market, but also considering how to implement new strategies for its business goals. The second stage is to organize marketing objectives and strategies. It is crucial here to establish the relationships between the proposed activities so that the plan can be carried out efficiently. In the planning, production, and establishing marketing strategy for the short and medium term, the manager's first considerations are usually an accurate estimate of the present sales level and an accurate estimate of the rate at which this level is changing. The forecaster subsequently is approached for two related commitments at this stage: to give assessments of patterns and seasonals which clearly influence the business level, and also seasonals are especially significant for both generally speaking creation, arranging, and stock control. To do this, the forecaster needs to apply time series analysis and projection strategies, that is, measurable strategies. To relate the future deals level to factors that are all the more effectively unsurprising or have a lead relationship with deals, or both. To do this, the forecaster needs to assemble causal models. The sort of item under a magnifying glass is vital in choosing the methods to be utilized. Now I will talk about how fluctuations can be forecasted for finer tuning. Firstly, for inventory control, we have to measure the item velocity, automate reorder thresholds, and integrate the system. Secondly, for sorting trends and seasonals, we have to consider that while choosing a forecasting method, we need to first identify the time series patterns in the data, and then choose a method that is able to capture the patterns properly. After that, for group item forecast, we have to consider that in some examples where statistical methods do not provide acceptable accuracy for individual items, an individual can obtain the desired accuracy by grouping items together, where this reduces the relative amount of randomness in the data. After that, long-term sales forecast helps the management to take some policy decisions of great significance and frame appropriate strategies to achieve the target. Lastly, econometric models are used to improve the forecasts of businesses by including economic factors in the forecasting model. Now I will talk about the differences between exponential smoothing and S11 method. In exponential smoothing model, past observations are weighted with a geometrically decreasing ratio, which means the more recent the observation, the higher the associated weight. X11 method, on the other hand, involves applying symmetric moving averages to a time series in order to estimate the trend, seasonal, and irregular components. Now I will talk about the effectiveness of X11 method. For short-term forecasts, the X11 technique mostly generates reasonably accurate data compared to other forecasting methods. Moreover, the forecasted data found through X11 method are mostly unbiased, as it has been found in many statistical data, which also makes it a more sophisticated technique to use. Now let's have a look at the limitation of exponential smoothing and adaptive technique. Exponential technique produces forecasts that lag behind the actual trend. The lag is a side effect of the smoothing process. It cannot also handle trends well. Exponential smoothing is also best used for forecasts that are short-term and in the absence of seasonal or cyclical variations. As a result, forecasts aren't accurate when data with cyclical or seasonal variations are present. In case of adaptive technique, the routing decision is more complex. Therefore, the processing burden on network nodes increases. In most cases, adaptive strategies depend on status information that is collected at one place but used at another. Now let's talk about forecasting in the future. To conclude, we can say that it is not that difficult to forecast the immediate future, since long-term trends do not change overnight. Most techniques described are only in the early stages of application. Still, we can expect most of the techniques that will be used in the next 5 years to be the ones discussed here, perhaps in extended form. The costs of using these techniques will be reduced significantly. This will enhance their implementation. We can also expect that computer time-sharing companies will offer access at nominal cost to input-output data banks, broken down into more business segments than are available today. The continuing declining trend in computer cost per computation, along with computational simplifications, will make techniques such as the Box-Jenkins method economically feasible, even for some inventory control applications. Moreover, computer software packages for the statistical techniques and some general models will also become available at a nominal cost.
We just discussed about the traditional ways of forecasting in any industry. Now let us discuss about the forecasting technologies in digital marketing area. The main difference between digital and traditional marketing is the medium through which an audience encounters a marketing message. While traditional marketing uses traditional media like magazines and newspapers, digital marketing uses digital media such as social media or websites. Forecasting is a key part in the process for creating marketing plans. Creating more accurate forecasts of the returns from digital marketing is important given the growth of investment in digital marketing, and hence it is essential for the modern marketer to learn how to use data and analytical tools to generate forecasts with sufficient rigor. Before getting into forecasting methods in digital marketing, let us quickly look at the various digital marketing platforms or methods. Unlike the traditional marketing wherein you mainly use the printed media for marketing, digital marketing makes use of visual or interactive media for marketing purpose. Digital marketing can be broadly broken into 7 main categories: search engine optimization, pay-per-click, social media marketing, content marketing, email marketing, mobile marketing, and marketing analytics. Now my teammate Debbie will discuss in depth about the forecasting technologies in digital marketing.
Forecasting techniques and digital marketing growth. The first thing is to start with digital marketing when adopting forecasting. And this is because this part of your operation is easy to track. Digital marketing could help build demand, and incorporating forecasting can help scale up the process. Next is that forecasting future-proofs your digital marketing. So it prepares your company for changes in consumer behavior or demand and helps to manage your company's growth processes. The relationship between accurate forecasting and returns from digital marketing. Creating more accurate forecasts or choosing the right forecasting technique is key to determine the returns from digital marketing, which is now essential given the growth in investment in digital marketing. So forecasting techniques can actually help to improve the accuracy of the marketing strategies. And this is because the more or the better you're able to determine or choose the right forecasting techniques, the more you're able to improve you're able to improve the accuracy of the basis of marketing strategies, plans, and budget allocations for whatever marketing strategy you choose, which can also apply to the digital marketing strategies. One of the methods considered in the paper included the time series method, analysis method, and then it comprises methods for analyzing time series data to extract meaningful statistics. The analysis can be divided into frequency domain methods and also divided into time domain methods. In digital marketing, the time domain methods are used to predict the trend of different metrics in the future. Ways to accurately forecast digital marketing growth for your business. Now, the first step will involve you ascertaining the right source, and that means you have to identify or come up with the idea of the incoming traffic source that you wish to analyze. Next, you need to project the future value of the source, and this means that you have now identified or have an idea of the traffic source, and you're now trying to see what is the future value of returns on this traffic source. The next step is for you to develop the model. Like, after you come up with the relevant source or you identify the relevant source, you need to calculate the number of conversions for each given source. Next step is to determine the return on ad expenditure, and this simply means knowing or trying to understand what your total earnings would be in comparison to how much you're going to expend on advertisements for your products or your services. Next, you need to compare marketing source. And this simply means once you've completed that process of identifying the traffic sourcing, you move forward to other sources, steps rather, of identify the future value, developing the model. The next thing you need to do is try to repeat that process, and based on the repetition of the process, you try to run equations and collect all your information in a document that is centrally documented. Next, you begin scaling, and for beginning scaling, it's just developing. It's just like you are trying to make sure that the technique you're using is continuously productive for moving forward. Next, you need to create diverse sources, and then this means you need to prepare for any unforeseen circumstance that will require you to keep changing or diversifying your digital marketing strategies. And the last one is just to continue optimizing your strategy, your digital marketing strategy.
In short, to handle the increasing variety and complexity of managerial forecasting problems, many forecasting techniques have been developed. Each has its special use and care must be taken to select the correct technique for a particular application. The forecasting methods and technology using in the digital marketing world is different from that in the traditional industry. The method of forecasting digital marketing strategies for your brand is going to yield profitable results. When you follow the by the numbers approach to digital marketing, it can help to yield the desired results. Try to implement the same on all existing sources. At the same time, you should ensure that you're running the same from time to time to ensure that you remain on the right track at all times. With an understanding of the basic features and limitations of the techniques, the decision maker can help the forecaster formulate the forecasting problem properly and can therefore have more confidence in the forecasts provided and use them more effectively. The forecaster, in turn, must blend the techniques with the knowledge and experience of the managers.